Good evening, friends, YouTubers, creators, and viewers. This is Jeff. Good evening. Jeff with Astroscoop, which is deep dive astrology coaching. And thank you once again for joining me. This live stream and all live streams right now are 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube at Astroscoop 3801. So it is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you're all doing well, and the weather's getting really beautiful. The sunset's getting later every week. I'm looking out, and it's even brighter now at 7 p.m. It's just wonderful. But my allergies are the allergies are starting, so I imagine that's common for a lot of people. So last week we talked about Taurus. Last week we talked about Taurus, specifically the first decanate or early Taurus period in astrology, which came after the Aries-Taurus cusp. So tonight we will talk about the Taurus 2 decan or decanate, along with all Taurus stuff and celebrities, of course. If you're new to tuning in, every week we go through the material, usually on the current sign or planets, and then we talk about various celebrities here. And a lot of this is an extension of what I do in my videos from the last week or two. And I just posted a video about an hour ago on a Taurus update, a very short video, which is similar to what we'll talk about tonight. So check that out after you're done with this live stream. But thank you very much for tuning in. Carolyn says, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Astrology Livestream. I think there's 2 people in here right now, so that's good. And I know a lot of people can catch these on the replay. So that's a beautiful thing that it's there after. If you don't have the hour to commit, you could watch it at a later point. And I always say that if you want to skip this beginning part that we talk about the sign and the planets or what's going on, if you want to skip to when I talk about the celebrities, that's usually the last 15-20 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. Celebrities, and we talk about the cosmic weather. So we talk about the chart, the current chart, like we did last week. So we'll get into that and talk about that. But first off, I wanted to just say that lately I have 32% of my viewers are 25 to 34 years old. And that's my biggest group. So a third of you that are watching Astroscoop are between 25 and 34, which is very interesting. So late millennial, or I should say young millennial, or late Gen Z. And then 25% of the viewers are 35 to 44. So our millennial, late millennial on the cusp of early Gen X. So that accounts for 32%, 25%, and then the rest is mixed. So 25 to 44-year-olds seems to be my group right now across the world. Those are the main viewers that are watching me. So the under 24 crowd, 18 to 24, and then the like 65 plus is very, very tiny, which is to be expected, I think. But it's nice to see different viewers of different ages and genders watching me and learning about Astroscoop, learning about astrology, or just finding out something new that you already know astrology, finding out something new as far as my angle, my perception, my take on things. It's great. And 72% of you, so 7 out of 10 of my viewers are male right now. And in the very beginning of Astroscoop, most of my viewers, 60 to 70%, were female. So that's interesting. So the last season or so, the trajectory of my channel, has been been growing because of male viewers. So thank you so much. And I don't get a lot of comments from male viewers. Not sure if people are shy, or I get a good amount of comments from female viewers, especially on a lot of my older videos, the cusp videos in particular. But if you're a male and you're watching me, or you're watching me in the future, can you please comment? Just say something simple. Excuse me. Let me know what country you're viewing from. Let me know your age or your sign or something, or ask me a question. But it's really interesting to me that 72% of you are male. So that's only 30%, only 3 out of 10 are female. So it makes me think that I might want to think about content. I'd like to hear from the majority of people that are watching what you'd like for me to cover in my videos and or these live streams every week, Fridays at 7 p.m. And then on that note, my views, the countries, the top countries I have are Russia is at 17%. Pakistan is number 2 at 10% of my views. The Ukraine is number 3, 8%. Indonesia is number 4 at 7%. And India is 6% of my views. And then the United States rounds it out at 5%. So thank you so much to especially Russia, Pakistan, and Ukraine. That's amazing. It's really interesting. I really appreciate the views, and I appreciate if you vibrate with the channel and you're supporting Astroscoop. And I talk about every week, there's so many microscopic small channels of us on YouTube that it is very difficult to grow without major marketing, major collaborations, and a lot of solopreneurs, small business people that are 1 or 2 people don't necessarily have the time, the money, or the resources to truly promote their channel. And so I really appreciate those countries and getting those views. So that would indicate the Russian, Pakistan, and Ukraine and Indonesian, a lot of males from those countries are watching me in the United States, which is wonderful. So that's why I would love to get more comments. So please tell your family and friends and share, and please comment. And I'm also open to constructive criticism as well on the live streams and my videos. Always trying to improve, always trying to learn, trying to move forward. We're growing the channel. Here it is May. I was talking back in January and February of kind of where I wanted to be in the spring, and the momentum is happening. It is growing, more subscribers. Some of my older videos have gone a little more viral, so to speak, at least in my view. Not enormous, but they've gone viral, and they've doubled in views or tripled in views. So that's great in my book. So let's continue that forward motion and keep going, because you can learn something from me. You can learn something from a channel that has 1 million subscribers or 10 subscribers. You just never know. And I know there isn't time in the week or in the day to try to have a buffet and try out every channel. I scroll through channels on YouTube, other astrologers, psychics, tarot people, and I want to watch more and learn from people and see what people are talking about. But I don't have the time either. So it is definitely precious, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you for those countries with the views. All right. So Taurus. Last week we talked about that April 25th to right around May 2nd or 3rd was the first early raw Taurus period, the first decade of Taurus. Now the decanates, which are basically 10 degrees, when you look up articles, I was looking up articles today. I read 3 or 4 different articles from astrologers. People take liberty with the decanates depending on what they studied, who they studied, and whether it's the Chaldean system and some other systems from ancient civilizations. So there is a little wiggle room there, but basically you're looking at three main decanates. You're looking at Taurus 1, Taurus 2, and Taurus 3, which is the Taurus period. And then at the start, you have the Aries Taurus cusp. And then in 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks, we'll have the Taurus Gemini cusp. So you have the true Taurus. Then now we're going to talk about the middle decanate and then the last decanate and so on. So you can look at degrees of the planets. If you get your chart done or you do a chart, you have to look at the degrees to know which decan it is, and that gives you the fine tuning. And I know I kind of repeat myself every week, but it's very important to, instead of just a blanket statement of, we talk about Taurus as a sign, but every Taurus person born in these separate weeks are not exactly the same in terms of how they use their Taurus energy. There is nuance there. And that's the beautiful thing about astrology, is there's always nuance. And there's subtle things to look out for. And that the subtle nuances are not all intellectual. You by being too intellectual, you can miss that with astrology. So there's more of a base or fundamental kind of way to look at it. And that includes the degrees and decans. So Taurus 2 decan, which, like I said, runs this week. Today's the 3rd. So we're running for the next week right up to the 10th or 11th. Right now we're at 13 degrees of Taurus. So almost right in the middle. 30 degrees, we're almost at 15. The sun at 13 in Taurus is sextile the Pisces moon tonight, which is really, really beautiful. That's really nice, and it's a close sextile. So a baby born tonight or tomorrow would have that chart placement, would have sun in Taurus, moon in Pisces in their chart. So if you know anybody that's giving birth this weekend, that's a really nice sun-moon combo for a boy or a girl. It's very earthy and fertile and sensitive. Very interesting. So Taurus 2 decan this week is Venus ruled. All Taurus people are ruled by Venus, but the sub-ruler is Virgo. So this decanate adds a Mercury influence to Taurus people born this week. And by adding a Mercury influence to Taurus, because last week Taurus people were double Taurus, Venus ruler, Venus sub-ruler for the decan, which is pure Taurus. This is colored by Mercury and it's colored by Virgo. So it can help these Taurus people to be a little more adaptable and versatile and more mental, a little more mental with their earthy ideas and plans. And so the Virgo sub-ruler is interesting because Taurus being ruled by Venus, by adding Mercury, now Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini. So when we talk about Gemini in a few weeks, Mercury ruling Gemini is so different because Gemini is air and it's mutable, and Taurus is fixed and it's ruled by Venus. But Virgo is also Earth, but also ruled by Mercury like Gemini. So it gives Virgo more wit, more cleverness in a practical way, in a practical sense, to influence and come together with the Venus qualities that Taurus people have, born last week and this week. So what does that mean? So combining Venus and Mercury, we have Taurus people this week can have an affinity and a natural talent for dance, music, and the visual arts, and especially using certain techniques because of Mercury. So it doesn't mean that a Taurus born last week isn't good at technique or isn't intellectual or more mental. But a Taurus born this week, if they're tapping into the Mercury sub-ruler, can use their earthy energy in maybe a more outgoing way, and a more mental way, a more communicative way, and have more of a message, rather than just sensation, enjoying life, and just the bottom line in their job. but actually having a message for their ideas and their ideologies. And so I think this is the 1 week for Taurus that, or one of the weeks for all the earth signs, that's probably the most into possibly education and learning. This would be a Taurus that would be more prone to learning more than an early Taurus maybe, or an Aries Taurus cusp, so to speak. So Taurus 2 people have a strong moral stance, and in their eyes, it's, you don't cross lines. So that's the interesting thing about Taurus, some Taurus people, right? Is Taurus people are, it's the fixed inertia of the earth. So it's fixed earth. You have the other earth signs, which are Capricorn and Virgo, and they can be stubborn in their own way. They can be overly overly sensible in their own way, whatever, overly earthy. But Taurus, because it's the first earth sign and the first fixed sign, can have a moral stance and such firm ideas of how things want to be, that they, in their mind, they have a line that doesn't want to be crossed, but they don't necessarily tell their family and friends. They don't telegraph that to other people. So, people aren't mind readers for the most part. Some people are, but Taurus people born in this decan, it would be good for them to be a little more clear and use their diplomatic ways to say, hey, I feel very strongly morally about this or about that. I'm really strong. Like, I might feel stronger than this than the average person. So this is really important to me. And can you please respect that? So someone doesn't cross the line, so to speak. But usually it's, like I said, it's in the Taurus person's mind. And then they may feel, Taurus is a sign that can easily become resentful, unfortunately. Taurus people, I've known a lot of Taurus people, and while Taurus has a lot of amazing qualities, I've seen a lot of Taurus people very easily fall into this resentful sort of defensive posture. And anyone can, but it's easy for Taurus to get stuck in that. And whereas other signs might feel resentful, but after 2 or 3 days, they can squash it and move on. The Taurus can maybe hold a little grudge there, but Taurus may not necessarily tell you. So that kind of moral stance, that's something good to know about some Taurus people, that they are that fixed about it. Obviously, in this world, it's wonderful to have good morals, to have a good moral compass. We should all have that, obviously, but that's especially important to Taurus people born this week. So they need to be clear, and they also need to respect that other people's morals may be a little bit different on the spectrum, and other people might not be as fixed as they are. So that moral stance creates firm ideas, which all Taurus people have. All Taurus people have firm ideas for the most part, because they take the ideas from Aries and they make it fruitful, and they make it like they start molding the clay of Aries into something solid. And that's the ideas. Very strong ideas, a very strong sense of right and wrong with Taurus people born this week. And that's also due to the Virgo influence. So that right and wrong sense is very, very good if this Taurus person is an advocate for animals, if they're standing up for help, abused animals or battered women or children or something. Taurus people born this week can be very strong advocates for the downtrodden and the unfortunate and the weak and vulnerable. They can feel like, hey, I have the strong endurance to stand up and put my foot down and say, this is wrong, and that can become a critical bent. So it can be good. It can be good if they do something in their community or their work where a Taurus person can really stick to it, about that, what's wrong, they're really going to stand up, where other signs might flutter and might change their course, but Taurus will stick with it. But it can create a very strong critical bent. And I wouldn't say that most Taurus people have a sharp tongue. I wouldn't, I would say that could be more Virgo, or maybe Cancer can have a critical tongue sometimes. And then, of course, other signs that are blunt, like Sagittarius, can be very blunt. So I wouldn't say Taurus people in general have a critical tongue or a critical bent, but people born this week with the Virgo influence can be very critical. And I remember I knew one guy years ago that was born on this cusp, and I worked with him in this week. And he would come into work, and he would come into work complaining about something in politics or the news, just something that he thought it was a stance that he had. And all he would do was try to convince you of his point of view, but he didn't want to have a conversation about it. All he wanted to do was like, this is wrong, right? Do you believe this? And then he would try to convince me and other people of that. So that's an example of the critical bent for Taurus people born this week. So Taurus people born this week can be calm and mental and very, very good workers, but there's also anger there. There's also anger that can be aroused because they're not processing those feelings of right and wrong and that moral stance that they hold inside. So if Taurus doesn't process it, and I talked about early Taurus people, like Taurus is like reserves of energy. And if Taurus is not, anger is a human emotion. A lot of people, now I'm not a counselor or a licensed therapist. So my disclaimer is, take this with a grain of salt. I am not a licensed counselor. I've worked with a lot though. And, a lot of people think anger is so bad and so evil. Oh, you can't ever be angry. Anger is normal. Anger can actually be good sometimes. Do you want to be addicted to anger? No. Do you want to have that as your default response? No. Therapists always say you want to respond to a situation, not react. And that's hard, right? Because we all have triggers and we react. But Taurus people that don't process, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying all Taurus people have this explosive bad temper, but the Taurus energy is self-possessed and self-contained, like Scorpio, which is its polarity. We'll talk about that in a moment. But that anger that Taurus can hold can be related to what they view as unfair. Whether it's to themselves or a family member, often a protected loved one, and they can take it a little too far, and it can become puritanical. So they can almost appear puritanical in terms of how they want their life to be, and that also is that Mercury influence, which is very different than the Taurus people born last week, and then the Taurus 3 people, which we'll talk about next week, which is co-ruled by Saturn. So there's definitely some anger there. Now, it depends on your degrees, of course, because there's certain fixed stars. It depends on your aspects. You have to look at Venus, because Venus rules Taurus. So looking at the Venus sign in a birth chart will give you a lot to go on. And the Mars sign, obviously, to see how they use their energy too. But Venus is very, very important to look at for Taurus people. And I think I mentioned this before. There's a lot of Taurus charts that I look up that have a Venus in Aries. And in my opinion, Venus in Aries is not a great placement. It's not a strong placement for Venus. It's kind of misfires. It could be aggressive. It could be selfish. And so combining that with the willfulness of Taurus can be a kind of a tough combination in personal relationships for them. And it's not very easygoing. It's not necessarily accommodating. So a Taurus person would have to work hard on that to be really balanced and not feel so frustrated or angry, especially if there's Aries in the chart as well. So I mentioned the degrees. So we're at 13 right now. So this period is like 12 to 21 degrees approximately. Anybody that has a 12 to 21 degree Taurus planet would be this Decan. And we're at 13, so 12 to 14. There's several stars, fixed stars, but that coincide to public, sports, and prestige, which is interesting. And obviously, I mentioned there could be a natural inclination to dance and physical movement with Taurus, especially with Virgo, and the sports is there as well. And so also I read that there could be throat issues. Taurus rules the throat and thyroid. I mentioned that in my video tonight. And also money misuse, because Taurus is a money sign. So it's very important for Taurus people. It's important for Taurus people of all decans, but especially this one, to know their relationship to money, right? Because we all have a relationship to money, and sometimes it's not a good relationship. And it's important for them to know what their sense is. Are they miserly and saving every penny, or are they more so like an early Taurus would be more into self-indulgence and good food and luxury and comfort and things like that? So this Taurus Decan person could go either way with the Virgo. There's more thought most likely there because of Mercury. But Taurus usually has a conscious expression of this earthy energy, whereas the opposite, which is Scorpio, which we'll talk about in a minute, Scorpio 2 opposite is more chthonic. It's not chthonic, it's chthonic. So more like the underworld, something that's beneath the earth, something that's more hidden. So that combination of Taurus trying to become conscious, because it's towards the beginning of the zodiac, so we're dealing with like a late, I don't know, maybe like a late teenager or a young adult sort of, and entering the world and learning, getting all this education and learning about themselves and how to integrate themselves into the world, and learning about ideas and what's right and wrong and morals and things like that. So very important for Taurus people to remain conscious of what they're doing and to not get into blind. In astrology, the fixed signs, which is a quality of the signs. So 12 signs, there's 3 qualities: cardinal, fixed, immutable. 4 times 3 is 12. So Taurus being one of the fixed signs, I often see when I've read charts for people or coached people, that people with strong fixed signs in their chart tend to have blind spots in their personality where they have behavior patterns that they may repeat over and over that are sometimes negative, that they don't see how to change. They're not conscious of it, not aware of it. So you have to get aware of it to change it, right? You have to acknowledge it to be able to change it or modify it. Maybe you can't completely change it. Maybe you have something really negative about yourself that is a flaw and you can't seem to change it, but maybe you can modify it. So that's very important for Taurus people, especially born this week. And then that relates to a star named Capulus, which is in this degree here, which is determination, an affinity for astrology and religion and the occult. So that's kind of interesting, because I generally don't think of Taurus in general. I don't think of Taurus people as being that open-minded to the occult or astrology. I see more Taurus people, especially men, being more oriented to the simple or mundane, things in life that they can see and touch with their 5 senses, and that's more, sensation. That's more tangible and more that's right in front of them. But Taurus people this week that have the Virgo influence can be didactic, and they have an urge to teach. They have an urge to show their methods, right? All the earth signs are methodical to some point. That's kind of the mode of earth signs, is being methodical. So a Taurus born this week with the Virgo can be didactic and would want to maybe teach and show people more so than other Taurus people that might keep things to themselves and might not have an interest in sharing these ideas with others. So these Taurus people are earthy, can be earthy and charming, but they're somewhat distant because of the Mercury influence. So they kind of like a little distance. When you think of distance, you think more of like air signs, with maybe being a little detached or distant. But Taurus people this week can be a little distant, and there's a dislike of intensity because they like their peace of mind, and they like quiet. After they've done their plans and done their effort, they like quiet, which is kind of the opposite of Scorpio 2, which is a deeper sort of Decan for Scorpio, a deep week and more intense feeling, where Taurus people have feelings, obviously, but they're not expressed in the same way that like their opposite, like a Scorpio 2 would be, which would be generally on a deeper level. So Taurus people born this week have a natural magnetism. And all Taurus people, I talked about in my video tonight, I mentioned how what I like about Taurus people is Taurus people usually have a very natural attractiveness about them, and they can attract people naturally and in an authentic sort of, nice way, like a natural way that's not too fast and not too slow, like just right, like a Goldilocks pace. So that's a really nice thing about Taurus, the sign of Taurus, as opposed to all the other signs. Taurus can have a very nice, calm, earthy magnetism. When Taurus people feel secure and they are calm and happy and they have a good laugh, Taurus people are wonderful to be around, and they can have this nice Venus aura about them. They can really be, have a good time. And the positive Taurus person, I always say, the secure Taurus person makes other people feel at ease because of their serene disposition. If they're calm and centered, it's a wonderful sign to help other people that might be more anxious or more flighty or more restless, kind of calm down a little bit and get grounded. So especially in Taurus people this week can really help with that. So they're natural. They have wit and charm. The Venus, obviously Venus ruling Taurus and also Libra, which we'll get to later in the year, gives these natives charm, and people can develop that. But usually the wit too. I don't think of Taurus as a witty sign per se, but people born this week that can be a little more witty because of their Virgo, and that kind of goes along the lines of their critical bent in their thinking. Critical, witty is a fine line of being critical and sarcastic, kind of thing. Okay, so magnetism. So Scorpio 2, I mentioned, is the opposite. So that's 6 months from now. In early November, we'll be talking about the Scorpio 2 period, which is a Pluto period. And if you think of the Taurus and Scorpio polarity, which is earth and water, and they're both fixed personalities, it's hard for people born on these signs, on these weeks, to change. You have to look at their corresponding ruling planets to see what signs they're in. But it is hard for them to change, and they can become closed off because it's like a fixed face-off between Scorpio and Taurus. So keep that in mind when you know a Taurus person. There's also an integration with the opposite sign, and if you know Scorpio, keep in mind the Taurus opposite energy, because it's a polarity. And then also, that's another thing. If Taurus people in their birth chart have other fixed signs, especially Scorpio, that will change that dynamic too, as far as their Earth and maybe being slow moving or that fixed inertia. That will change that a little bit. All right, so we're halfway in. Let's see. I'm not sure if anyone else is here. Any questions? Let's just take a moment, see if anyone else comes in. Oh, and also anyone that sees this on the replay, I really do want comments and suggestions for future live streams because this, I'm kind of getting a groove now with my format, which is good because it helps me prepare and helps me mentally prepare. But also, I don't want to get into a rut. I'm a little worried I'm going to get into a rut with this. So, and yes, I have a few fixed signs in my fixed sign placements in my natal chart. So anytime where there's a fixed sign placement, it can make us resolute and powerful, and it can make us stay the course, but it can also get us stuck. So wherever there's a fixed sign in the chart, you have to make an effort to change every once in a while. all the fixed signs, you know, need an effort to change. But yeah, please, I welcome comments about what you guys and gals want to hear about in the future. You know, think about what you want to hear in the summer coming. We have Gemini coming, we have Cancer coming, we have Leo coming, and that will end. And then we go into Virgo, and then Virgo ends the summer, and then we go into Libra. So think about that, especially coming up with Gemini and Cancer. Do you want me to talk more about the transits, more about celebrities? You know, I do a little bit of everything, but we can focus more on, you know, more specific things. Or even I'd love to give someone a mini reading if they had a question or gave me their birth information. Hopefully, I would like to get to a point where there's a few people in here where we can kind of go over a chart and I could do a little, you know, dip your toes in the water, so to speak, and get a mini reading, and then see if you wanted to pay me for a full reading. I don't do readings that often, but I do enjoy them, and my prices are extremely reasonable. So if you are interested in a reading, you can contact me at, this is the email I will put on here. It's mynotes@me.com. That's the email I'm using right now. My Astroscoop email seems sort of defunct, but so that's the email right there. So if you see this on the replay, hopefully you'll see it's mynotes@me.com. You can send me ask for more information. I can give you my prices for like a 30-minute reading or an hour-minute reading. I can do an email reading if you want, just through email. We could do a chat reading if you wanted to just do chat and you didn't want to show your face or something like that. Or we could even do a phone reading. We could do it over the phone on speakerphone, like old school. I like doing that too. We could do I even do a 15 or 20-minute phone reading. So if you're interested, please let me know, because I'd like to get back into doing more readings with the summer and fall. In the summer, I should have some more free time to devote to this channel. So I'm hoping to do that. All right, so let's kind of get, we're about 40 minutes in. We could get to, see, it's still, sunset still hasn't set. It's beautiful. I think it's about 10 minutes away. So celebrities, now every time I do celebrities, it's always celebrities that are just born this week. I'm not talking about any Taurus people that are born like on April 26th or May 18th, which are Taurus people, but we're talking about just this Decan, so that you can think about these celebrities, actors, actresses, musicians, singers, entertainers, and you can think about what we've talked about Taurus and how does this person use that in their acting or their singing or or their entertaining. And also just a little little disclaimer about me talking about celebrities. When I mention celebrities on here, it does not mean that if someone is sometimes some of these celebrities are awful people in real life, right? You read about people getting arrested for all sorts of bad things, sex offenders, there's all sorts of things now coming out with celebrities. So I'm not endorsing, if I have someone on here that you think in your mind, oh my God, that person's horrible, I can't believe he even put that on there. I'm not agreeing with who they are in real life. It's just purely their craft. I'm relating their sign or energy to their entertainment. That's all. I know that there are famous people in real life that are terrible people. Just like us common folk, there are people that choose to make terrible decisions each day and mistreat themselves or mistreat others day after day after day, and break the law or whatever. So that's not what I'm talking about. So these are just pure examples of how they use their energy in relation to the sign. But it doesn't necessarily mean I agree with the person in real life or I think they're amazing in real life. So Christopher Cross, he's the sailing guy. That's probably his biggest hit, is sailing, right? What a nice, beautiful 70s soft rock instrumental and vocal song. Just beautiful. Sailing. I mean, what a nice, it sounds a little dated now, it's got that dated 70s sound, but it's beautiful and it's very serene, but it's also very thoughtful. The lyrics are very thoughtful. So Christopher Cross, nicely done. Amy Steele is a lesser known actress. She's from Friday the 13th, and she's just very strong. She's a good visceral, physical actress. If there's a lot of actresses that don't do much physical in their roles, but this woman is like, she fights the villain in the horror movie, and she's really strong. And of course, Taurus people are physical, and it's nice to see when a Taurus actor or actress uses it in their role. David Ball he's one half of the group Soft Cell that has a big, huge song called Tainted Love, which everyone probably knows, big pop hit. So he was the keyboardist, not the singer of Soft Cell. He was responsible for all the rhythms and very, very good, earthy, very magnetic rhythms, and very good keyboard from London. Bobby Cannavale, I think he's a real underrated actor. He's kind of a Ray Liotta type. As you know, Ray Liotta passed away not too long ago. The actor that did a lot of Italian type roles. Bobby Cannavale, I think he's from New York. He's great. I think he's done a lot of theater, and he's done a lot of like quirky roles in kind of B movies and stuff. He's in a series called The Watcher on Netflix, which I recommend. They had one season. He's really good. He's great, and I think he's just got this way about him. He's got the stare. He's got that bovine stare that Taurus people have. He just looks, and something about his voice and his eyes. That's also a hallmark, right? That's a hallmark of Taurus people, is the bovine stare, when a Taurus person will just look at you like, oh, okay. Ian McCulloch is a singer of a group called Echo and the Bunnymen. I mentioned some of his bandmates that were Aries, that were born. So a lot of them are Aries and Taurus in that group. Group from the 70s and 80s. Very, very good, earthy, sensual songs, sensual singing. Steve Stevens, which is not his real name. I think his real name is Schneider. He is the guitarist for the punk pop rock singer Billy Idol. And he's, in my opinion, one of the best guitarists in rock. But he's not talked about in the same vein as some of these other rock guitarists like Eddie Van Halen or Eric Clapton, or people like that. But he's amazing, amazing Taurus energy in Billy Idol's songs, especially in his 80s work. Really, really good stuff. Gary Daly, co-founder of a group called China Crisis, kind of an obscure group. A lot of people probably don't remember, a new wave pop group. Very good. Kevin Mooney from Adam and the Ants. And I was going to see Adam and the Ants recently, but I lost my wallet 3 hours before I was on my way to go to the concert. I lost my wallet, and I lost everything in my wallet, and I couldn't go. I was so frustrated. I've never seen Adam Ant live, and now he's doing a U.S. tour right now, and that was my one time to see him, and I couldn't go. So I'm very disappointed. I'm not sure if Kevin Mooney, I'm not sure if he's alive, if he's still touring, but he was very integral to the early Adam and the Ants sound. Adele is an amazing 30-something British singer. You know, she has that song "Hello." Is it "Hello"? She has several hits. I can't remember what that older one is, but amazing pipes, and you know, physical shoulders, and she can blow. She can blow, and she's got good messages, and obviously she's got that Venus, that earthiness, that sensuality, and that power. Yeah, Adele's great. Bob Seger, classic from Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. His 70s and 80s folk rock, just great stuff. You know, he's kind of on the level of like a James Taylor, but more rock, more like pop radio rock. He's great, and his music is sensual and earthy, but he's a great storyteller, like Billy Joel. He's a really good storyteller, and people born this week, because of the wit, they can be very good storytellers. Chris France. I saw him speak at a music symposium last year. He's interesting. He's a Taurus that was part of the original Talking Heads, co-founded it with David Byrne. Seems like a very earthy, nice guy, down to earth. Philip Bailey, in my opinion, one of the best R&B soul funk singers from Earth, Wind and Fire. And he's been with Earth, Wind and Fire. He's still touring to this day. He's the co-founder, along with Maurice White, with Earth, Wind and Fire, and he goes way, way back to possibly the late 60s with EWF, and he's still there. So amazing falsetto voice, and wonderful lyrics and messages. A true sensual, positive, evolved Taurus. And Philip, out of all the people on this list, Philip has those aspirations of being more Taurus, more spiritually inclined, and which some Taurus people can get to. And some ancient civilizations, when they respected and they revered the bull and the cow as symbols, many of them saw spiritual aspirations in the bull. And I think it was it Egypt that used the bull for prophecy? Egypt and Greek were very, very strong symbols, very strong respect for symbols of the bull and the cow in their civilizations. They thought that the bull, that Taurus, the symbology was an absolute sacred beast. So really, really cool. Yes, Carolyn says kudos to Philip Bailey. Oh yeah, yes, I know. Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, yeah. If you've seen him in concert, right? I've seen Earth, Wind and Fire in concert twice, 2 times, yeah. And the last time I saw him was in the 2000s, and he still had the voice. I have a friend that saw him last year. I didn't get a chance to see them, but yeah, he's an amazing. But he's probably the most spiritual in terms of the way he uses his Taurus in his craft. Alex Van Halen, he's a member of the rock group Van Halen. He co-founded it with his brother, and he's the drummer. He's still alive and still doing music. Billy Joel, of course, the iconic Billy Joel. Now, Billy Joel, I feel, is a little overhyped, a little overrated. He is very talented. He's got some great songs. There's many of them that I don't care for. For some reason, Billy Joel, listen to Billy Joel's music. Earthy, simple, sensual. What does he do well? He tells a story really well. He doesn't have the best voice in the world. The songs aren't the best music, but he tells a story and he plays piano really well. And he tells a story really well matched to the music. You know, scenes from an Italian restaurant. You know, he talks about various women and relationships, obviously, which is very important to Taurus, and sensuality and love and stuff, with a little bit of melancholy there, which is reflective of Taurus. And so Billy's great, but he's definitely very reflective of Taurus too. Dave Gahan, another beautiful um, singer that has a wonderful cow bovine-like bellow from Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode has some wonderful, beautiful songs. The electronic new wave group from London from the 70s, 80s, and today, who are still touring. He's awesome. And he just sounds like a cow to me. Just, I don't know how to explain it. And then Bono's another one. I mean, these three in a row, Billy Joel, Dave Gahan, and Bono, their faces all look like bulls. They have the chin, and the way they talk and the way they sing is so Taurus to me. Once you see it, you know it's Taurus. And obviously Bono, like Billy Joel, is a worldwide sensation. And Bono, very talented. Again, not the best singer. Sorry, Bono fans. He's great, but not the best singer, not the best music. Very good storyteller, very into politics and relating that to the common people. Taurus can see things from the average person, right? Because Taurus is an earthy person. So that's they're good business people. Taurus people born this week can be very good business people, and that's how they can succeed and turn their craft into a success. That doesn't mean they're the best at it, but they're crafty and they don't give up. They want to succeed, they don't give up. So that's another. But also look to the Venus too, to see how they, especially in music with a songwriter or a musician, you got to look to Venus, because Venus is love, how they express their love, to the audience, so to speak, to their audience. So that's important. I think Billy Joel has Venus in Taurus. Dave has Venus in Gemini. Bono, not sure what he has Venus in. Might be Taurus. And then last but not least, I have a young Taurus woman. I think I mentioned her last year in my video, Mary Mauser. So for any of you that are interested in the Cobra Kai series, which is on Netflix, and the Cobra Kai series is coming to an end. It's season 6 is coming in the fall, and it's based on the Karate Kid movies and the plot trajectory of the Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, and then Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence characters coming back, and she plays Ralph Macchio's character's daughter, Samantha, and she is great. She's wonderful. She's vulnerable on the series. She's sweet, but she's tough. She learns to be tough, and it's almost like she's like the bull. She's pushed and prodded in her role to be tougher and not be so passive and stand up for herself. So that's one really good thing I want to leave you with about Taurus is a sign of reserves. It's like money reserves or reserves of troops for a war. You don't use all your power and all your guns all at once. You do it in stages, and you do it nice and slow and methodical and effectively. And that's Taurus for the most part. But Taurus people born this week would tend to be a little more mental and possibly more adaptable to situations because of the Virgo decadent, rather than a Taurus 1 or a Taurus 3 person, which we'll talk about next week. And then after that, when we get to Taurus Gemini cusp, you're looking at Taurus stubbornness along with the Gemini, the airiness of Gemini and the restlessness of Gemini. So that's an interesting combo as well. But all these, there were more celebrities, but, I really try to find celebrities that I think that I've either heard a song, I've watched a role of theirs, something that I really truly believe that represents this sign. And I know we're just talking about their week, just their sun sign. We're not talking about all their charts, like their moon or their rising, but I really do try to pick people that, exemplify the Taurus 2 Decan. So let's take a moment. Let's take a look at the cosmic weather. So I can't show you. This is last week's, and my printer's on the fritz right now, so I can't show you tonight's wheel. But if you want to know the transits, all you have to do is go onto a website or use software if you have it, and put in 7 or 8 p.m., put in your time zone, and you'll see the current transits. And that's also the current natal or birth chart of a family or friend member that might be having a baby this weekend. So if you know anybody or you're a woman that's going to give birth today or tomorrow, here's your Taurus, at least in Western astrology that I use. I'm not using sidereal astrology, but it would be Sun in Taurus, Moon in Pisces, Mercury in Aries, which is direct, Venus in Taurus, Mars in Aries. Those are the personal planets. And then what sticks out to me this week is now that we have Venus in Taurus, Venus is much more comfortable in Taurus. It's much more at ease. It's calmer, it's more loving, and it's more patient. It's a nice placement for Venus, as opposed to Aries, which can be warm and passionate and sexy, but also can be a little bit of a pain in the butt and insensitive. So Aries doesn't work really well with Venus, but Taurus is at its home with Venus. It's very comfortable there. So that should help chill things out in general this week, next couple weeks for us collectively, to relax as far as enjoy our family and friends with some good food, good music, and just kick back. It can't be all hard work, right? There's a time for hard work. You got to work. You got to work smart and not just hard. That's what I'm learning in life. Like you can't just work hard and use all your energy. You got to save some, and that's what Taurus teaches us. Save some of that energy. Don't use it all. Don't blow it all. Save it up because you might need it. But Venus in Taurus, some astrologers are talking this week, it's squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So that's interesting. The transiting Pluto, which is early at 2 degrees Aquarius, has now already gone retrograde, and it's already moving backwards. It's stalled. So Venus has come into Taurus, and it just squared it. So that it can make things calm, but it can also throw things off because Venus and Pluto it can represent obsessions with love, with the love nature. And because it's a square, it's tension usually. So that's kind of interesting. And then it doesn't necessarily affect, there's no Leo planets tonight. Obviously, Leo is on the top of the chart tonight on Eastern Standard Time. It's at the 10th house. And then we have Scorpio rising. So a baby born right now would have Scorpio rising. That's quite a chart. He or she would be Sun in Taurus, Moon in Pisces, and Scorpio rising. So that's intense. And that Scorpio rising is square the Pluto and opposing that Venus right now. Of course, that moves all through the night. The wheel moves, and then there becomes a new rising sign, and then planets move into different houses. So for tonight and this weekend, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius planets may feel that opposition square, almost a T-square, fixed. So that can create some tension. And of course, if you have any early fixed signs in your chart, if you know that you have a fixed sign between like 1 degree and let's say 6 or 7, you will be feeling that. And then you have to find out in your chart which house, which arena that falls in and how that might affect you. So that sort of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of, we got Sun, Venus, Uranus, and Jupiter all in Taurus right now. No major Virgo and no major Capricorn. So as far as the earth signs go, it's all about Taurus. We still have a good amount of Pisces, and we still have a sprinkle of Aries there. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bundle. Let's see here. The Pluto has a fixed star called Altair, which is a Mars and Jupiter influence to Pluto, the retrograde, and it's conjunct that star. And there is to a focal point of Scorpio, there's Zubin El-Janubi. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Zubin El-Janubi or El-Janubi, which is Jupiter and Mercury for 13 degrees of Scorpio. So yeah, a lot of fixed potent energy this week in the cosmic sky. And fixed signs fixed signs are signs that when you look at behavior patterns, if a fixed sign adopts a healthy habit, that's awesome, because most likely that fixed sign, that fixed placement, won't give it up and will meet their goal and maintain it, whereas a cardinal or immutable sign might not. But if the fixed signs are engaged in old scripts, old behavior patterns, which we all have, the fixed signs can get stuck, especially Taurus. So be conscious of that. And that's definitely my message to Taurus people having birthdays this week and into next is be conscious of your solar return and how it's affecting your identity, and be conscious of how you might be stuck right now. That Pluto in Aquarius might make you feel uncomfortable, but it also might be a stimulus to change a little bit, because Taurus is not necessarily a sign that likes change, embraces change easily or willingly. I know there's exceptions. I'm sure there's Taurus people that would say, I'm super flexible, I'm great with change, I love, and there's got to be something else in the chart. But wherever Taurus is in your chart, that's going to be somewhere where you kind of trying to hold on to keeping things as they are. And sometimes you can't keep the door from blowing open. And that Pluto can do that with that Pluto aspect. So you'll see a lot of astrologers and tarot people probably this week talking about the Venus and Pluto, fixed signs, that sort of thing. So Carolyn says, thank you for the great info. You are welcome. Thank you for being a loyal chatter, a loyal viewer. I know there's people that come in and out. And what's interesting for if any of you watch my live stream, and you do live streams as well, or podcasts on YouTube, can you see, does your icon of the person icon in the left, does it match the people that are in your chat box? Because mine seems to be off sometimes. Like sometimes it'll say over here in the person icon on my left here will say 2 or 3 people, but then in the chat, I see 1 or 2, and I assume that's just because no one's typed anything except for 1 person. So I'm not sure about that. And then there's the thumbs up. Let me see, thumbs up. Yeah, I guess you can't get any information on that. Okay, interesting. Oh, also, before I go, I don't know if anybody even stays till the end. I know only a couple of people do. And God forbid, I can't imagine someone doing a replay and watching me for more than an hour. But if you do, thank you. But one last thing is, let me know what you think of this background. I'm using the poster and I have my candle lights. So there's not too much I can do with the brick here, but I'm just thinking maybe to incorporate maybe some more color or something. I'm not sure, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment down below. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I have weekly videos that are almost always about the current sign or planets or aspects. And I'm doing more compatibility with the signs as well. And so look for more of that to come in the future. And a lot of you still are not subscribed that are watching the live streams and my videos. So many of you, 70-80% of you are not subscribed. So please subscribe. It's free. I don't post so often that you're going to get inundated with notifications. It's usually one video a week, and then you'll get notified of the upcoming live stream on Fridays here on YouTube. So I don't over post. Some people post 3 or 4 times a week that I'm subscribed to, and I can't keep up. I want to watch all their stuff, but I don't know how these people do 3 or 4 videos a week. But that's pretty amazing. But thank you so much for tuning in. Happy birthday to all Taurus people, especially Taurus 2 people. Next week, we'll be talking about Taurus 3, which is the last and final decanate of Taurus. Again, if you have any comments or questions or info on natal charts or anything, please comment down below if you see the live stream. Thank you so much for all the viewers, especially Russia, Pakistan, and the Ukraine. That's amazing to me. It's wonderful, those far parts of the world from where I am in the US, that people are watching me. It's just wonderful. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So everyone have a great week and be safe. I'll see you next week.